Hello, dear listener, and welcome to a quiet journey into the past. Tonight, let's explore a curious story from a time long, long ago in a land far away. So, settle in, close your eyes gently, and just listen as your mind begins to drift. Imagine, if you will, the soft light of a new day just peeking over a small, quiet town in France back in the year 1386. Its old stone walls cast long, sleepy shadows across the market square, and the bells of the church chimed their morning song ever so softly as the town slowly, gently began to stir to life. But sadly, this morning began with a sorrowful discovery. In a small, humble lane, just outside a little cottage, a tiny 2-year-old child lay still. It was a very sad moment for the town, a little life gone too soon. And there was little doubt about what had happened. The townspeople had seen an animal nearby, a large sow, white and perhaps a little messy, looking rather wild, with marks that suggested she was involved. So, this animal was taken into custody, as was the custom then, tied gently, and led through the streets towards the town's quiet jail. Yes, the jail. Because in those times, in many places across Europe during the Middle Ages, it was believed that even animals could commit a wrong, and when they did, they could be put on trial just like people. Now, to us today, this might sound quite unbelievable, even a little bit amusing, doesn't it? But back in the 14th century, according to the laws of that time, animals could indeed be brought to court for various deeds, as if they were human beings. And it wasn't just pigs. There are old records of many such cases. Bulls, perhaps, bumping into farmers a bit too hard. Horses who might have accidentally kicked someone. Even dogs who might have caused a fright to children. And once, even little rats who were summoned to court for nibbling on too much grain. It was all quite formal. Why, you might wonder? Well, in the medieval way of seeing the world, everything had its special place in God's creation. People believed that even animals had some small understanding, some little bit of will, and even a sense of right and wrong in their own animal way. And more than that, the law had to be clearly seen. Justice had to be performed for all to witness.
If a child was harmed and no one was held accountable, even if it was an animal with 4 legs and a curly tail, then what would that say about the order of the whole world? It was about keeping things calm and orderly. So the sow was kept in the local jail, the very same quiet place where human people waited for their trials or their fates. She was given modest scraps to eat, and a chain was placed gently on her leg. And each day a kind priest would visit her cell, reading soft scriptures aloud, not for the pig's own understanding, but to show the court's dignity and seriousness. Meanwhile, the town's prosecutor, a man named Jean Lavoisier, carefully prepared the case. He spoke to people who had seen things. He quietly noted the sad injuries on the child's body, and he arranged for a formal trial to be overseen by the local official and 3 court members. And yes, the pig would even have someone to speak on her behalf, a real human lawyer assigned to her by law. Because even in those times, they believed every creature deserved a fair hearing. It sounds so unusual to us, doesn't it? But to them, it was simply the way things were. And it would have been more unsettling to let such a serious act go unaddressed. The courtroom had a soft smell of hay and old stone, and perhaps a little bit of something wild from the pig herself. It was held in the Thales town hall, a large stone room where every little cough and creak echoed softly. Townspeople filled the benches, quiet and curious. Even the local monks, who usually stayed away from such worldly matters, came to witness what had become quite a public event. In the very center of the room was a simple wooden pen, and inside, patiently, stood the accused, the Saul. Her ears would twitch just a little, her side would gently rise and fall with her breath. She blinked slowly, perhaps without truly understanding, but the court didn't seem to notice that, because standing right beside her, dressed in full robes with a calm expression, was her defense attorney, Maître Guillaume Garnier. This was a serious matter to him. He had once defended a shepherd, and now he stood quietly for a pig.
Across from him, the town prosecutor, Jean Lavoisier, read the charges aloud, his voice low and steady. For the grievous and unnatural act of causing harm to a Christian child, for tearing flesh from holy innocence, this sow is hereby charged with a serious deed. The court clerk carefully recorded every single word. People were called to speak. First, the child's mother, her voice trembling softly with sadness. Then a neighbor who quietly shared that he had seen the sow loose in the yard. Another swore he heard little squeals and cries, then saw the animal looking as if it had been involved in something serious. The prosecutor presented a little piece of clothing, showing the sad damage. It was placed gently on the table. Then came a soldier who claimed the pig had a certain wildness in her eyes, even before the sad event. Every word was carefully written down. Every little silence was noted. Then it was Maître Garnier's turn. He cleared his throat gently and bowed to the judges. "Your Honors, I do not dispute that the child's life was lost, but I must ask, does the accused possess a human soul? Can she truly know what is right from what is wrong? Can she be held to the very same laws that apply to us, human beings?" The court became very quiet. For a moment, A different way of thinking seemed to hang in the air, like a wisp of smoke. But then the official answered with a calm, firm voice. If it is believed that darkness can speak through an animal, then surely an animal can commit a serious act. The crowd murmured softly, and the trial continued on patiently. The next morning the court came together again. There was no large jury, just 3 judges who quietly thought about the case for less than an hour. Their decision: guilty. The sentence was read aloud softly. The sow shall be put to an end gently from the town gallows, so that her deed may be cleared, and the peace of the people restored once more. The court clapped quietly.
Some gave soft cheers. Others made a gentle sign of the cross. Maître Garnier bowed his head slowly. The pig was then led away. On a clear morning, watched by half the town, a simple wooden gallows was set up just outside the quiet city gate. The sow was led there by guards. Some in the crowd looked on sadly. Others just watched in silence. The person responsible for the task, wearing dark gloves, worked quietly. The pig was gently lifted by a rope, slowly, perhaps a little awkwardly, making soft sounds as the rope gently tightened. Her body swung a little, twisting softly in the breeze, her legs moving just a little. A bell tolled, slowly and deeply. A monk read a gentle psalm, and the process ended. A life not human, not truly understanding, but judged as guilty, had been addressed and brought to a conclusion, and the town felt a sense of order restored. The pig in Falaise was not the only animal to face such a fate in medieval Europe. In fact, the Middle Ages saw many such animal trials across different lands like France, Switzerland, Germany, and Italy. In 1314, a bull was put to an end in Ireland for harming a man. In 1474, a rooster in Basel was burned gently at the stake for allegedly laying an egg, which was thought to be a kind of unusual magic. And in 1519, in France, a group of little rats was summoned to court for eating too many crops. When they didn't appear, their defense lawyer argued that they might be afraid to travel, and the court kindly gave them more time to arrive. These were not just stories or metaphors. They were literal trials with serious legal words, lawyers, judges, and conclusions. Why? Because to the people of the Middle Ages, the law was something very important, and to let a serious act go unaddressed was to invite a kind of chaos, even if the one involved had hooves. Justice to them wasn't about the type of creature. It was about keeping everything in its right and proper order. The trial of the sow in Falaise wasn't just about the pig itself. It was also about the people who were watching. In a world where children often cast away gently, where conflicts might sweep through towns, where illness came without warning, and where the difference between human and animal felt perhaps a little less clear than today, public trials became like important rituals.
They quietly showed that even in sadness, in moments of challenge, in moments that seemed unusual, someone or something would provide an answer, even if it was a pig. The law gave people something solid to hold on to, even if the thinking behind it seemed a little unusual to us now. And so the priest quietly prayed over the one awaiting their fate. The judges wore their solemn robes. The person for the task carried out their duty.
And the town, knowing that order had been maintained, slept a little more soundly that night. Today, we might gently smile at such a story. We imagine a pig on trial and perhaps think of old cartoons. We might say how unusual they were, how much they believed in things we don't, how perhaps a little different. But quietly ask yourself, when something difficult happens today, don't we still look for someone or something to understand it, even if the full explanation isn't perfectly clear? When a child is harmed, when a sadness strikes, when nature feels challenging, we still wish for a clear understanding, a gentle explanation, a way to make sense of the fear. That deep human wish to give meaning to what seems unsettling, to find a form for it, to see things put right, has never truly left us. It just wears different clothes now. In the Middle Ages, sometimes it wore hooves. A curious thought to drift off to, isn't it? And now, as this curious story comes to a gentle close, let your own mind begin to unwind. Allow yourself to feel completely safe and serene. Every thought can drift away, like little clouds in the night sky. Your breath is soft and even. Your body is peaceful and heavy. Let the quiet darkness wrap around you like a soft blanket. May your dreams be filled with calm, peaceful images. Sleep deeply, dear listener. Good night.